Coming up, some flyers may be hit with user fees.
Progress for GA safety.
An airport that's a well-manicured step back in time.
And a natural method of drone control. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Brightline, instruments for professionals.
And now it begins. Hello everyone and welcome to AOPA Live this week. I'm Melissa Rudinger.
And I'm Tom Haynes. Well, it is this, the FAA Reauthorization Bill, all 270 pages, and it includes third-class medical reform, a plan to privatize air traffic control, and user fees for some folks flying in the system. It's called the Aviation Innovation Reform and Reauthorization Act. Congressman Bill Schuster introduced it Wednesday during a Capitol Hill press conference.
I've worked to make sure that this is good for the general aviation too. The one thing that I've heard out there is that this is a tax increase. It is not a tax increase. General aviation operators, non-commercial pilots and their equipment will continue to pay into the system as they do now through the gas tax. There are no new fees or charges in the legislation that can be imposed on them. The board is also prohibited from granting airspace access based on the amount of money you pay into the system. So we've made sure that we're working with our general aviation community that this is good for them.
As I said, more than 270 pages to the massive bill, and it's proposed to bring some big changes to the FAA. Biggest change? Taking air traffic control away from the FAA and turning it over to a not-for-profit corporation.
This proposed air traffic control corporation would be governed by an 11-member board. The airlines, general aviation, controllers, airline pilots unions, and others would appoint the board members. The airlines would get 4, general aviation 2, but the bigger question is how to pay for it.
And for that, the bill proposes fees and charges to be levied on some users, primarily the airlines and some Part 135 charter operators. But the bill specifically prohibits fees and charges for piston-powered aircraft and non-commercial turbine-powered aircraft. Also, air taxis flying to remote airports wouldn't be charged a user fee for air traffic control. But anytime user fees are mentioned for anybody, AOPA wants to take a very careful look.
Well, we never like the word user fees in anything in any part of aviation. We just want to make sure that the general part of aviation is protected. So we're going to be studying that part of it a lot. And what does privatization actually mean for the air traffic control? We need to spend some time on it to really understand where it's going.
So we're just going to make sure that we get the best bill for general aviation, and we will not support anything that's going to negatively impact general aviation.
Our rule is no user fees on general aviation, period.
Other groups are lining up for and against the bill. The union representing the controllers is in favor. NATCA said the bill was in alignment with all of its union policies, practices, and principles. And not surprisingly, Airlines for America, the trade association for the airlines, threw its full support behind the bill. Most of the major airlines have been lobbying for user fees for years.
But not Delta. A Delta pilot penned this op-ed in USA Today opposing the plan to privatize air traffic control. And Delta issued a study detailing what it sees as all the negatives to the Air Traffic Control Corporation and user fees. And a less than warm reception from some other members of Congress. The appropriations committees of both the House and the Senate say they won't support plans to remove air traffic control from congressional oversight. The corporation plan would remove air traffic control from the annual appropriations process, meaning Congress would no longer have the power of the purse to influence the air traffic system.
And the Aviation Innovation, Reform, and Reauthorization Act would significantly change third-class medical certification requirements. As the bill stands now, it would authorize a so-called driver's license medical for private pilots flying aircraft with 6 or fewer seats and weighing no more than 6,000 pounds. That's as it stands right now, but as the bill moves through committee and onto the House floor, some things might change.
And on another front, some progress for GA and safety. The FAA has agreed to work with AOPA and others to finalize a plan to start sending traffic information to anybody who has an ADS-B receiver, including portables. Previously, so-called TIS-B information was sent only to aircraft equipped with an approved ADS-B out transmitter. A fatal mid-air collision last July between an F-16 and a Cessna 150 led AOPA and the Air Safety Institute to redouble efforts to change that policy.
The senior officials that we spoke with got us in touch with the right people within the program, and they came up with some solution sets that AOPA and other stakeholders looked at. We chose one that we think is going to be the best solution, and then that solution has been folded into the Equip 2020 working group as a way forward to really get this out there and make traffic available to everybody.
The FAA has committed funds to the project, and George expects that the FAA will have an approved implementation plan this summer.
The Windecker Eagle is an historic aircraft. It was the first certified composite aircraft way back in 1969. One of the originals has been restored and it's on its way to China. But the company that owns the design is using the historic four-seater as the basis for a new model. It will be similar to the original, but use new materials. Read more at aopa.org.
Actor and stuntman Jackie Chan will be arriving on set quickly and in style with a new Legacy 500. Chan is the first customer in China to take delivery of the new Embraer. Chan will use the jet for business and charity. He used his previous airplane to send food and water to disaster-stricken areas of China. Chan says the 433-knot mid-sized jet will serve as a comfortable mobile home and office, allowing him to travel more efficiently. Coming up after the break, a place where kids and aviators never have to grow up.
And drones as prey. You're watching AOPA Live this week. Welcome back. You're watching AOPA Live this week.
The latest round in the battle over Santa Monica Airport. AOPA and 9 others are asking the FAA to deny an appeal of the agency's determination that Santa Monica Municipal Airport must remain open until at least August 2023. That's because of the federal grants the city has accepted for the airport. The city says, well, it shouldn't have to stick to that contract because it didn't know what it was doing when it accepted the funds. I can't make this stuff up, folks. Santa Monica is trying every trick it can think of to close that airport. And the Mid-Atlantic is starting to thaw out from last week's historic storm. The warm weather is bringing a bit of a new problem you might need to consider: ground fog. You can see in this shot the sky is clear, but you can't see the other end of the runway well. Just be aware of the risks as the snow melts in the east. You might get down to short final and have difficulty seeing the end of the runway.
Imagine a place where kids are welcome and aviators never have to grow up. In that place, there would be a grass strip, some old warbirds, a seaplane base, and a friendly welcome to all who come and stay. AOPA's Julie Walker has found that place, and it's called the Triple Tree Aerodrome.
Triple Tree Aerodrome just might be a fantasy land for aviators. And that makes Pat Hartness Peter Pan.
Triple Tree, truly, to you folks that have not been, is a different kind of fly-in.
And it's that way through the hard work of Pat and his friends.
We've had a lot of fun, and it's been a labor of love to get a place that had no amenities, no water, no roads, usable for an airport, and all the many other things.
They've built this property into a premier aviation getaway right out of the South Carolina hills, moving Earth to create a 7,000-foot runway, which rivals the world's top golf courses in quality.
The grass is manicured. We mow it with special equipment.
It's so nice, jets can land and take off. They've purchased a TF-51D Mustang to fly out of the strip. But it's not just big hardware that shares these palmetto skies. Each year, a large RC flying event is held. It's called Joe Knoll Week.
Joe Knoll was a roommate of mine at Furman that became a member of the National Transportation Safety Board, and he was aviation driven, but mostly driven because of a love of people.
Joe's love of people and aviation came together in his love of flying radio-controlled airplanes. Joe was killed in an airplane crash in Venezuela.
He would truly be at peace with what we've done and the way we're working with youth and trying to promote aviation and to excite the passion and love for aviation.
Pat hopes that young people can come into aviation through RC flying and move up when they're able to full-scale airplanes.
Everybody's young one time, let's make them feel welcome.
Everything here, from the seaplane lake to the facilities, is first class. And Hartness has donated the property to a nonprofit created to educate the next generation of flyers. Construction's underway on an educational facility to be able to lead future generations of lost boys and girls into this neverland.
And now Triple Tree really belongs to all of us.
Julie Walker, AOPA Live.
Thanks, Julie. That looks wonderful. The annual Joe Knoll Week starts May 7th, and you can find out more and get registered at tripletreeaerodrome.com.
And this final note, the Dutch are investigating a low-tech way to take out high-tech vermin, rogue drones. The company Guard from Above is working with Dutch police on using birds of prey to attack and take down errant drones. The birds see the drones as prey and take them to a safe place away from people and other raptors. Don't know if they try to eat the drones, but better be careful of those lithium batteries, I guess. And that does it for us this week. Thanks for spending some time with us.
We hope to see you back here next Thursday for another edition of AOPA Live This Week.